Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today I'm here with my January wrap-up. I read 5 things in January, so let's just get into it. The first thing that I read was When You Get the Chance by Emma Lord, who's the author of Tweet Cute, which is one of my favorite books of all time. It was a solid 4-star read for me. It was exactly what I needed, honestly, to start the year off. It was just, it was wholesome, it was cute, it was funny, but it was like heartwarming and bittersweet at the same time. It was just everything I needed to kick the year off. I love Emma Lord's writing style. I think that she's funny and witty and cool without being like a millennial that's trying to write Gen Z characters, you know? Like sometimes I'll read YA and I'm like, wow, like you're really trying. And with Emma Lord, I don't get that. It just comes naturally. It's very witty and funny, and I just connect a lot with her writing style. The only reason that I would say that this is like a 4-star, not a 5-star for me, is that it is about a girl who is in theater and her dream is to be a Broadway star, and there is an excessive amount of Broadway references. And obviously, I mean, I suppose it's not excessive because that's who her character is, that's what she finds enjoyable, and that's a part of her character. But for somebody like me who, it's weird because I love musical theater, but for some reason I'm not like super into like Broadway. I'm not super into that. I don't know, I'm not like super attached to it. So like the constant Broadway references and whatnot were just a bit extreme for me. And because some of the references just flew right over my head, because like I said, I'm not super, you know, informed about that. I just felt like I couldn't connect to Millie, our main character, as much as I could have if maybe we related, you know, to that interest together. The other thing that I really loved about it is that there were some references to Tweet Cute in this book, and Tweet Cute obviously being one of my favorite reads, it was so sweet, and I was like, like right when I heard it. 4 stars for that one, an easy 4-star, maybe even a 4.5 honestly, because the only thing that I didn't like was that I was having trouble kind of like getting into it because of that lack of Broadway knowledge on my part, and it was almost like a necessity. It was almost like a prereq for this, so keep that in mind if you're going to read this book. There are a lot of Broadway references, like a lot. Next I read I Hope This Helps, Comics and Cures for 21st Century Panic by Tommy Seigel. I read his 2021 release in 2021 called Candy Hearts, and I was absolutely obsessed. Like, I want to reread it. I need to reread it. I loved it. I ended up giving this 2 stars. And this was released I think in 2020, and it's been on my want to read list since 2020. I actually just happened to pick up Candy Hearts first, but I've been wanting to read this one for a while. These comics, I felt like there was no flow. They were super just kind of random, which is fine. It's a comic collection, but there was just something about it. It just didn't feel like a cohesive collection. Some of the comics themselves were not offensive, but just kind of weird and kind of judgmental. Not necessarily offensive, but just kind of judgy and pretentious. I didn't like that at all. Something else I didn't realize about this collection when I first started it, because it honestly, when you read the synopsis, it doesn't explain this at all, is that there'll be like 20 pages or so of comics, and then it'll be like 5 or so pages of like writing from him about how he started doing comics and his band. Talks about band life a lot, talks about being on the road a lot, touring a lot, just things that when you read this, like Comics and Cures for 21st Century Panic, a comic book collection, you don't expect his random like memoir to be in there as well. Overall, I just felt like it was really lacking, and it wasn't what I expected with the text thrown in, and Candy Hearts is way better, so he's definitely improved in my opinion, and I am excited to see what he does next. Because of Candy Hearts, I'll definitely probably still pick up whatever he decides to do next, but this one was a major disappointment for me. Then I finally got around to Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Oseman. I saw that my library had Heartstopper Volume 1, but there was quite a long wait. And then I remember that I feel like I saw somewhere that it was free online. So I looked into it. It is free online. All of them are free online. And what's cool about reading it online is that there's little bonuses, extras, mini like web things. But this was an obvious 5-star for me. This was the cutest thing in the world, exactly what I needed. But at the same time, it was so heartfelt, and it touched on so many important issues like acceptance in the LGBT community and coming out and the difficulties with that, and the obstacles that you have to overcome to have that acceptance, not only, you know, within yourself, but just in society and with the people around you in your close circle. And I just really loved it. I think the art style is really cool too. It's really to the point, and it doesn't try to do too much, and it was just the sweetest thing in the world. And Heartstopper, I believe, is a completed series now. I think that the actual bound book has not come out yet. The final one, I think it's volume 5. I don't think that one has officially come out yet in stores and whatnot, but it is completed on Webtoons, I'm pretty sure, which is where you can read Heartstopper for free, is webtoons.com. Easy 5-star, loved it, exactly what I needed. Then I read The Blood Countess by Lana Popovic, and this is like Lady Slayers volume 1, but I know that they're not connected. Like the books in the series are not related at all. Based on the real story of Elizabeth Bathory, Lady Bathory, Madame Bathory, I think she was called, all these names. Dracula's like bride, Dracula's wife, the real story. She was a infamous serial killer in the 1500s, 1600s, something like that. Back in the day, she was a, I think her victim count is anywhere from, I think they said 80 to 650. You don't recognize the name. She is the famous like serial killer lady who would put like blood on her face and stuff. Our main character, Anna, pretty much gets summoned by Elizabeth Bathory to be one of her like chambermaids, I think is what they're called. And it kind of shows from Anna's perspective kind of how Elizabeth kind of turns to madness and kind of like her thought process there. I expected this to be a little bit more of a horror novel, a little bit more intense than it was. It is YA, but I honestly, I just expected it to be a little bit more gruesome, dare I say. That sounds bad, but like it's literally called Blood Countess. I expected there to be a little bit more graphic nature, if you will. There's really only one scene that I can think of where it's like, ooh, like that's messed up, and it kind of doesn't even show everything. It just kind of like fades to black, and then it like pops up, and there's like, it kind of tells you what happened, but it's not like super gruesome or anything like that. I guess that's a good thing since it's YA, but I don't know, I had deeper expectations, I guess, for it. Another thing I didn't expect is that this is a female-female romance. That was so unnecessary to me. Wasn't expecting that at all. Wasn't expecting the way that even comes to be. And yeah, just because of that, all I'll say, without any spoilers, is pretty much that things happen, and I couldn't even really connect with like the main character anymore just because of things she did. I didn't think that she was a good person. I think she was very selfish. And along with that, another reason I wasn't a big fan of this is that the ending just kind of like wrapped up in a pretty little neat bow very, very, very quickly. And I don't know, I think that the real story of like how she ended up being punished when she got caught, I think it is relatively similar to how it is in the book, but I don't know. The way that it just like wrapped up too neatly and stuff, I just wasn't a big fan. So this was a 3-star for me. A bit disappointing. 3 stars, still not bad. Not a bad book by any means. There's a lot of people that I would recommend this to. Unfortunately, it wasn't for me. Then the last book that I read in January was Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy, which just came out February 1st of 2022, but I did get a audio arc from NetGalley, so I was able to read it and review it in January before it came out. This was my first Elle Kennedy. I've heard a lot about Elle Kennedy from TikTok and even previously on BookTube. This one was more like I put a 3-star, but it's leaning closer to a 2.5 for me. I'm always on the hunt for new adult books. This is a new adult book. It's kind of rich girl, poor guy, romance, opposite sides of the track sort of like romance. I was super excited to hear that this was new adult because I think Elle Kennedy only writes college age new adult if I'm not mistaken. So I was really excited about that. Unfortunately, my main issue with this is that the characters felt so immature. They felt immature, they felt too young for me, they felt too, their communication style, like people that age should have developed normal communication styles, and if you haven't yet, you need to go to therapy. Like, it's a fact. That's just a fact. I could not root for any of the characters. I liked the guy more than the girl because I felt like he had more depth, but maybe that's just because he was like poor other side of the tracks and I like relate to that more than this super rich girl. It could have been that, but either way, both of them, I just wasn't, it was a cute romance, but I just couldn't really root for them or connect with them the way that I should have been able to as somebody who's also in their 20s. I'm just not a huge fan of the bet trope. I think that it's kind of fucked up. I think that it makes me instantly not really like one of the characters. I don't like the idea that like, oh, it's a bet, and like, oh, I'm only like getting with her for a bet, and like, oh, I'm only showing interest in her for a bet. Like, that's fucked up to me. Like, if someone did that in real life, like, that's fucked up. So I don't like the bet trope, and I didn't necessarily know that that was a part of this. So yeah, unfortunately, this one didn't work for me for so many reasons. So overall, that is everything that I read in January. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Like I said, I feel like I didn't read a lot, but I felt like I was able to like connect with each book a little bit longer. So we'll see. February is already off to a really weird start. I have a 5-star and like a 1-star. So February's wrap up will be really interesting. So stay tuned for that and for reading vlogs and whatnot. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe and like it and let me know what you read in January down below. And I will see you guys in the next one.